Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today, I'll be doing a tier list on all the abilities in encounters. I'll be trying to rank these abilities individually. I'm not counting combos or like interactions or anything like that, just purely based off the ability like by itself. Also, I have a tournament that's going to be happening in about like a month-ish time from now, I think. I'm not 100% sure, I'm still trying to work everything out, but you can sign up using the link below in the description. And yeah, the only requirement in being in the tournament is that you're subscribed to my channel and that you have to be in my Discord server. Anyway, so all that being said, let's move on to the tier list. So, Elena's basic attack. I think it's a pretty solid move. I'd say I'd throw it into decent. So it doesn't do anything too crazy. It does a good amount of damage, not anything like too like insane, but it's decent. There's not really much to say about it other than it's just like your basic like range attack. Her special, I think it's a really good move. So it does a okay amount of damage, but once you start racking up that damage and you start knocking them back over and over again, it's like it gets kind of nasty if the person using it constantly hits it over and over and over again. Because just there's not much you can really do against other than like potentially trying to block it, side dash it, like etc. So I think at high damages this move becomes a pain. Like it's really obnoxious to play against. Alina's unique. I think it's a pretty meh move. So I mean, a lot of times people just end up leaving the range. Even if you do camp in the range and try to like bait them into it, it does an okay amount of damage and everything, but I think the thing that like sucks about it is that people hitting it can get ult charge off of you. Well, not off of you, but people can get ult charge off your turret, which is in my opinion really like dumb. Alina's ultimate I think is a pretty decent move once again. So it has, I think it goes across, I'm pretty sure it goes across the whole map, so the range is infinite. You can control the knockback on it. I mean, it's a pretty solid kill move. I feel like the only issue with it is that it can be dodged, and if it is dodged or blocked or anything like that, it's completely useless and you're kind of locked in place in the animation, which I think is a bit unfortunate. Now, moving on to Military Man, we have his pistol. I think his pistol is, it's between pretty bad and meh. We'll throw it in the meh. So, if you can actually hit your shots with it, assuming you don't get messed up by the recoil, or not the recoil, but like the spread, I think it's actually pretty decent, although it's extremely slow and it costs a lot of energy every single shot. I don't know, I just don't think it's that good. Now, moving on to his special, we have his weapon switch. We'll just say this is like the AK, because technically it's kind of like both. The pistol and the AK, but let's just say this is the AK variation. I say it's decent. So it's sort of like, it's very similar to Elena's where he just like kind of like shoots, although it's not as accurate from like far ranges. But honestly, I think that's okay. I mean, you can stack up with a lot of damage with it. It's not really too special. It's just another range attack pretty much. Now, we have his unique. It's never use it. Don't use it. It's so bad. The issue with this move is that it costs so much energy, and even if you do hit it and you don't flashbang yourself, you don't get any value out of it. You get no value or very little value out of the move. It's just really sad. And it's really risky too. It's just not worth using ever. His ultimate. I actually think his ultimate is really good. So I've seen a lot of Military Man players use his ult like pretty effectively, and if you know how to use it correctly, you can spike people down really hard. You can control the knockback of it. It's really good. It also does quite a bit of damage. I think it's definitely one of the better ultimates in the game, despite the rest of his kit. Moving on to my boy Rash, we have his basic attack. I'll throw his basic attack into pretty bad. So by itself, it's just not good whatsoever. I would not want his basic attack on a character. The only redeeming quality about it is that it does give you your ultimate like relatively fast, because of its fast attack speed. It also does stack quite a bit of damage, like sort of quickly, if you can get close enough, but a lot of characters aren't gonna let you get close enough. which is sort of tragic. It doesn't do any knockback or anything. It's overall just a pretty bad move. So moving on to Rash's special, we have his grenade, which also goes into pretty bad. So the unfortunate thing about his grenade is that it's so hard to actually like use it. Well, no, not use it. It's so hard to like actually hit the move because everyone just blocks it. It's so tragic. The only time that you can use this move is when you are edge guarding. Actually, I'm gonna throw this in the meh. So it's very hard hitting your grenade just because people block it. But you do have situations where you can like edge guard. You can also potentially control the knockback of it by throwing the grenade above them while they're still in the air, which makes recovering extremely hard. So I think that's its one redeeming quality, is that it's like a really good edge guard tool. Besides that, it's completely worthless, and it's just not worth using. Rash's unique is actually pretty decent in my opinion. So it's relatively spammable. You get your energy back like pretty fast after you use it. It does quite a bit of damage. You can throw multiple like on top of each other to stack the damage even more. It covers like a decent area. It's not anything too crazy. It's just, you know, your basic damage stacking move. Alright, now for Rash's ultimate. I'll throw this into pretty this is a hard one. I think it goes into meh. Actually, no, pretty bad. So, final answer, pretty bad. So I say it's pretty bad because you actually have to get pretty close to the person to like use it on them, which like you can do most of the time. You can also juke people out with the stealth, which I think is a pretty nice aspect of it. Once you actually attach the bomb, usually the person has enough time to like get to the center of the stage or like a safe place before the bomb goes off, and then when they get flung back, they can usually cancel the knockback pretty quickly. So the move like solely by itself is pretty bad. It has a pretty low kill power. Now moving on to Charlamagne, his basic attack is pretty bad, honestly. I don't like it at all. So he sprays in front of him and he slows himself down. He can block, and I think that's all he can really do. I might be mistaken about that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure the only thing he can really do is block during it. It takes quite a bit of energy. It's just a really inconvenient move to use overall. Wouldn't recommend. Now, Charlamagne's special is a different story. So I think this goes in a decent. It kind of like goes along the same guidelines as like the other like range basic attacks. Like he just spams it, and it gives so much ult charge. Not to mention, you can get multiple like things of ult charge if you hit multiple people with it. Honestly, it's one of the best range moves like for like stacking damage that you can like use, in my opinion. It doesn't do anything crazy. It doesn't do any knockback or anything like that, but it's really nice. Charlamagne's E is, I think it's also pretty bad. So you're kind of locked into walking and jumping, and that's literally the only things you can do. You can't even stack it with your block, or you can't even dash. Like you're just like stuck walking while you cast it. It doesn't do that much damage. You kind of just hope that you freeze them, and you try to keep them in the range, but usually they can get out the range like pretty easily just because you're stuck like walking. It's so unfortunate. Charlamagne's ult is, well, by itself I guess it's bad. You kind of want to combine it with your ice cube. I'll throw it into other just because it's a pretty unique move. If we're talking, assuming we're talking about the combo with his special and ult, I think it's a pretty decent move. But completely by itself, I would throw it into never use or other, just because it doesn't kill or anything like that. But assuming that we're doing the combo, I think it's pretty decent. So it has a pretty good range around Charlamagne. The knockback that it does, if you can actually like get the combo off, is insane. Just people fly back so violently, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ! Like it's one of the funnest ults in the game to use, in my opinion. You can even freeze someone that's like sort of coming back onto the stage, and then they'll drop because they can't move or anything, so they just end up dropping really far down, and they have to waste a lot of stamina trying to get back up, which is like a little like niche thing that you can do to kind of troll people. The only thing that sucks about it is that it can be blocked and predicted. You can also jump over it because he has to be grounded to use the move. So I think that limits it quite a bit. Besides that, I think it's a pretty decent move. Now moving on to Construct, we have Construct's basic attack. Construct's basic attack is really solid, so it goes farther than most other basic attacks because of his big hammer. It also does quite a bit of knockback, so you can edge guard with it. It's overall like really good. Like you can literally kill people with this basic attack. Should I throw into pretty good? Really good? I think I will. Like it's overall, it's a really solid move. Next up, we have Construct's dash. I'm pretty sure that is. His dash is one of the stronger dashes in the game. I won't say it's the strongest, but I think it's one of the stronger ones. I might throw this into really good too. Actually, I'll throw it in the decent. So, Construct's dash doesn't go that far, and it also costs quite a bit of energy to cast, which I think limits it quite a bit. But the redeeming factor of it is that it cancels knockback when you're in it, which is so insane. So there's a lot of like situations where you can use that to your advantage and cancel out a lot of moves. So I think overall it's really solid. Maybe like if I had a tier between really good and decent, I would throw it in there. Next up we have Construct's uppercut, his good old unique. I feel like this move is sort of. I'll throw it in the decent. So it has combo potential, but by itself, I mean, you only have access to one combo really, which is just the unique over and over again. So I think for some characters, playing against it is like pretty annoying. I don't know, I don't think there's much to say about it. You can't really kill with it either. I mean, well, technically you can. I don't know. I just think his basic attack and specials, better. You're better off using those moves, unless you're like using his unique in a combo. Next up, we have Construct's ultimate. For his ultimate, I'll assume that you're allowed to use these abilities, like the rest of his kit. So I think his ult is sort of. It goes in between like meh and decent. I'll throw it in the decent. So, if you can actually hit it, it's really strong. Like you knock them back quite a bit, and then you can edge guard them afterwards. So I think it's pretty solid. Although, the issue with it is that if someone's side dashing and you hit them mid side dash, it cancels out your ultimate, which I think is like the most like whack thing like ever. Like I can't believe that's like a thing. So for that one sole reason, I think he immediately drops still decent, if not meh. But I threw him in the decent. For Don's basic attack, let's say it's decent. So it has a short range, so he'll struggle against characters that can kind of like characters like Construct, for example. He can use his basic attack and just hit him away, or he can dash and hit him and cancel any knockback. But if Don can actually like hit you, the knockback it does is insane, and it's pretty good for edge guarding as well. It does quite a bit of damage too, and you get your ult really fast when you use it. Except we have Don's kick, his good old special. I think it's a pretty good move. I'll throw it up here. So the reason why I throw it up there is that it does a lot of knockback, like an insane amount for just like a basic move, and it doesn't cost that much energy either. Like he just lunges forward, kicks, and he does a ton of knockback. If you're at high damage, like this move is very obnoxious to play against. You're constantly having to like side dash and block and trying to like predict him, and you end up playing around this one move like all the time. Next up is Don's grab. I think it's a pretty meh move, honestly. I mean, you grab your enemy, you slam them, you do a bit of damage to them and yourself, and you kind of like reset back into neutral. It doesn't really do anything. Assuming you can somehow spike them, I think it's a pretty good kill move if they're at high damage and you can somehow spike them. Other than that, it's kind of worthless. Don's ultimate, I think it's a really good move. It comes out really fast, it's a projectile, and the amount of knockback it does is also like sort of insane. You can also cancel the knockback. You can also control the knockback of it like pretty well. But it's a relatively simple move. There's not much to really say about it. It's just it does its thing, and it does it really good. All right, Fiona's basic attack. I actually think it's sort of meh. I never really see Fiona players really use it that much. Maybe like if like a few. I don't know. I think this move is kind of overlooked a lot of the times because of the rest of her kit. I feel like the only time you'll really see it is in combos. And in that case, I think it's a pretty good tool for like combos, but like besides that, like by itself, it's just sort of meh. Next up, we have Fiona's knife throw. The knife throw is also sort of meh. So, I mean, you throw it, it does damage. You can kind of like, actually, I'll throw it in the decent. So you can play like Zoner Fiona and like keep throwing your knife out over and over again, and keep like your distance, and you keep hitting them, and you get your ult like relatively quickly doing that. Besides like this zoning part, actually I'm gonna throw this back in the meh. Besides this, the zoning part of this move, it's kind of just like a setup move. It's not much to really say about it. Next up, yeah, Fiona's unique. This move is pretty interesting. I'll throw it into decent. If I had a tier between decent and really good, I think I'd throw it there. So, the reason why I say that is because it's her main combo tools. Like, you can stun lock people with it. It does quite a bit of damage. You can get your ult like relatively fast with it. I think it's a really solid move, just overall. It also allows you to teleport, which is like recoveries. Like, this move is very solid. By the way, the teleport is assuming that you're using these the combos, but by itself, I think it's a pretty good move. Like, without counting the teleport, like, it's a pretty good move, and it gets even better if you count the teleport. Next up, you have Fiona's ultimate. So I think I'll throw this move into really good. So like, you spin, like, you deal your damage and everything, you knock people back. I mean, there's no real cons to it, other than, like, it has, like, a relatively small range. It's like a small dome. It's not, like, super small by any means. Like, it has a decent range. It's not much to really say about this move. It does its job pretty well. Next up, we have Gunzo's basic attack. Gunzo's basic attack is another really good move in my opinion. So, you swing, you deal 15 damage, like, the sour spot of the move is practically impossible to actually like hit, just because like you swing like behind you, like the sides of you, like it literally hits everywhere, so it's impossible to hit the sour spot, so you're constantly getting the sweet spot of it, which is really, really nice. It also does quite a bit of knockback, so you can even potentially edge guard with it. Next up is Gunzo's grapple pool thingy. So grapple is, I think it's a decent move. So you can grapple to someone, which is very nice. You lock them in place, and then you pretty much get a guaranteed free hit, which doubles the damage. May I add? Like, the crit aspect of it is really solid. Like, I really like that. Also, I haven't used my best of the best. I haven't used my best of the best tier, which is slightly problematic. I might move some of these moves up here just so I can like use it, because I didn't realize that I would be throwing all these in a pretty good. This is sort of spontaneous. I didn't plan this. Anyways, so Gunzo's unique, which is the big arc swing. I think this is another really good move. You can kind of zone people out with it, and it also does quite a bit of damage and knockback. So the move almost effectively hits 360 around Gunzo, because you can spin your camera with the move, which extends the hitbox, which is insane. If you hit someone at the tip of the move, it does more damage, knockback, etc., which is really nice. So you can just keep people at that range, and there's not much that they can really do about it. It's like, it feels really good, like keeping someone in that like area. Next up, for Gunzo's ultimate, I also think it's another like really solid move. I mean, he just spins. You can control the knockback of it, which is another plus. He spins, knocks you back. You can even hit multiple people with it because he can sort of move during it. Overall, just solid move. It does the job pretty well. Also, before I move on to Hamza, I'm gonna take some time to actually move these. Well, to actually fill this with moves. Out of these, I think I'll throw Dawn's Fireball in there. Elena's Beyblade is the really good move, in my opinion. Gunzo's Unique can go in there as well. I'm contemplating if I want to throw Military Man's ult in there. I think I want to. It's really nasty if the person knows how to use it. Yeah, I'll throw it in there. So these are now my best of the best. Next up, we have Hamza. Hamza's basic attack is pretty good. So you can get your ult like really quickly with it, which is a really nice aspect of it. You can also charge up, and it does quite a bit of knockback, so you can sort of edge guard with it. It's not anything like super duper special. I mean, it does its job like really well. It also does a lot for a basic attack, like overall. Like it's a pretty solid move. So I'll throw it in really good. All right, Hamza's Slingshot. So this might be controversial, but I think this move is also like really good. I'm also thinking, actually no, I won't throw it in the best of the best, but I think this move is really good. I think this move is really slept on because Hamza can constantly hit you with it. Like there's no like safe like place. Like you can constantly snipe people with this move. And it does quite a bit of knockback too. You can even jump and control the knockback of it. Like, like this move is disgusting if you can hit it. The only like downside to it is that like the hitbox is like relatively small. But assuming that you can hit that, like it's pretty nasty, dude. Next up we have Hamza's Trampoline. This trampoline's sort of weird. I'll throw it into like, it's not like bad by any means. It's sort of like meh. Like it doesn't really do anything. I mean, you could use the trampoline to like jump higher, which I guess is nice. You can use it like if you're below the stage for some reason, like you can use it to recover that way instead of jumping normally, I guess. I don't know, it's a really weird move. I don't necessarily hate it. It's sort of like just weird. Next up is Hamza's ultimate. His ultimate is sort of weird. So the issue that I have with his ultimate is that people just run away. So obviously it's really good that you can, you know, not take as much knockback and everything. Well, not as much. You take no knockback, like you don't really take any damage. Like you're effectively invincible. Like it's really good. That's like the really good aspect of it. But it also boosts your damage and everything. Like, it's a really solid ultimate. It's just the fact that people run away from you when you use it, and it becomes really hard actually hitting people, because everyone knows to stay away from Hamza when he starts glowing. So, assuming that you can actually hit your basic attack and everything, I think this goes into really good, if not best of the best. But just for the fact that, just for the fact that it's like really hard to hit it and everything, after you like activate it, I'll throw it in the decent. Alright, next up we have Hannah's basic attack. If your basic attack is sort of, it's pretty bad. It's sort of like a Rash's, but even slower. So you can get your ultimate with it. I feel like that's like the only like real use. It doesn't really do that much damage. It's slow. The range is like okay, I guess. It's like slightly larger than a Rash's. Like it's so like it doesn't do anything. It's just bad. Next up we have Hannah's iconic move for her special. This move is, I'll throw it in the decent. So like this move is sort of obnoxious sometimes. If you're not paying attention to Hannah and you're like 1v1 winning someone, and like Hannah's like all the way in the back like sniping both of you with it, like it's annoying. Like it hits both of you. The knockback it does is like not super insane, but it can get sort of annoying at higher percentages. It's also quite energy expensive, and you can't really regen while you're charging it up, which is sort of lame. And overall, I just think it's a decent move. Next up, we have Hannah's Unique. It's the most useful ability in the game. Yeah, straight to never use this move. It literally has no purpose. I don't know why this move's in the game. Just don't. Just don't. Please don't. Never. Don't do it. it's just bad. So for Hannah's ultimate, I actually really like her ultimate. It's a shame that it doesn't knock back more. I'll throw it into decent. So like hitting it is like relatively fine. Like it comes out instantly, which is nice. Travels across the map and whatnot. The only issue is that it doesn't really knock back as much for whatever reason. So like you're not really likely to kill with it, which is unfortunate. You have to, in order to kill people, you have to sort of combine it with your special, which can be difficult to do it sometimes. If this move actually like knocked back like other moves knock back, I honestly would throw it into really good. But because it doesn't, it'll stay at decent for now. Next up we have Kuzanagi's basic attack. It's decent. So like his basic attacks knock back like a tiny bit, if I'm not mistaken, like 10%, I think. So, something like that, 15%, around there. And like, you can sort of still knock people a tiny bit with them. Not like how you can still knock people with my basic attack. We'll get to that. But yeah, it gives you your ultimate relatively quickly. You deal like pretty good damage. It's like an average basic attack. It's not anything too crazy. Next up, we have Kuzanagi's good old special, her dash. Oh no. Wait, it's a he. I know it's a he. Don't stop typing. I see you typing in the comments. Don't do it. Turn back. Anyways, Kuzanagi's special. I mean, it's pretty fast. You can sort of predict it and stop it from happening. But assuming that the Kuzanagi player hits it, it does quite a bit of damage. It knocks him back. It's really solid. You can also use it to recover. The recovery aspect of it isn't as good, just because they nerfed the energy on it, so it's way higher now. So you'll mainly want to use it to like cancel the knockback of moves. That's like really the only time that you would want to like try to use it to recover. But for that reason, I like it canceling knockback. I think it's a really good move. Except we have Kuzanagi's parry. I don't know why everyone hates this move so much. Well, like, I know, but I also don't know. I'll throw it in the best of the best. Alright, hear me out. Actually, does it go in the best of the best? Somewhere in between, like, really good and the best of the best. It's a really solid move. We'll throw it in the best of the best. I think it's a really strong move. And people just don't know how to play around it. So, the ability to, like, double your opponent's damage if you can actually hit it is disgusting. I think that aspect of it's, like, broken. Not to mention you also knock them back, like Jesus Christ. The energy on it is also like relatively low for the amount of value that you can get per cast, and a lot of people seem to not really know how to play around it. So for those reasons, I think it's one of the best moves in the game. Kuzanagi's ultimate, I think it's decent. So for some reason I have this issue with it where like whenever I use it, like I don't really kill people with it. Like I feel like I don't send them back that far. It does so much damage, especially if you hit them like while they're like stun locked, taking the damage from the ult. But assuming that you don't even do that and it's just like the ult damage by itself, like it still does a lot of damage for an ultimate, and I don't know. I think it's just good for stacking damage. Killing it's not as good. I feel like you're better off trying to like edge guard them with your special. But by itself, I think it's overall a decent move. Onto my basic attack is definitely one of the best basic attacks in the game. I'm contemplating if I want to throw in the best of the best. Yeah, I'll throw in the best of the best. So the reason why I throw this move in the best of the best is the stun lockery of this move. First, my move is really fast when she's swinging for whatever reason. I don't know why. My literally whips whenever she's swinging her knives, but her move speed gets like tripled. Okay, not tripled, like doubled maybe. And she starts sliding around, and she starts just hitting you over and over again really quickly. Like her basic attack's so fast, she stacks damage on you really quickly, and you're sort of stuck like just getting hit, and there's not much that you can really do about it until you take enough damage and like the knockback starts like actually like pushing you back and not locking you in place. This move is just really good for a basic attack. Next up, you have my special. Her basic attack, basically, what am I going on about? Her special it's decent. Like, you do damage with it, you get your ultimate with it. It's just free projectiles. They basically cost no energy and they're very spammable. Not much to really say about it other than that it does damage and gives you your ult. Nothing really bad about them besides the fact that they don't really do knockback, thank god. And yeah. Mine's invisibility is, it's also decent. I mean, you can sort of predict it. Like, sometimes you can predict where the Mai player is gonna go. You can see when they're jumping in the air and everything and hear it. So obviously this ability doesn't make you, like, invulnerable. Like, you can still get hit and everything. It drains your energy, like, relatively quickly. But, I don't know, invisibility, like, you can't really go wrong with that. Like, there's always a mind game with it. Next up, we have Mai's ult. I think Mai's ult is pretty good. So, it has multiple uses, so you can just use it as, like, your normal kill move, right? But you can also use it to recover. I've seen a lot of Mai's save themselves with their ult because the speed that they get from it is, like, pretty good. Like, when they don't have any energy left, so I think that's a really underrated aspect of her ult. It's, like, saving yourself with it. And the knockback it does is, like, also really nice. It doesn't really feel like it's weak. It feels pretty strong. So I think it's one of the better ultimates in the game. Next up, we have Pak 2. Pak 2's basic attack. I think it's pretty. We'll say it's pretty good. So Pak 2's basic attack. I was gonna throw it in the decent, but there's one aspect of it that makes it really good is the fact that you can stun like people. So it's similar to Mai, where you can kind of stun lock people because it does a little bit of knockback. Although I don't think it's as quick as like Mai's. He also doesn't get the movement speed, so his ability to stun lock people isn't as good as Mai, but it's still there. It does a good amount of damage and gives your ult like relatively quickly. Like, it's a really good basic attack. Next up, we have the Pak 2 main's favorite ability, the stand punch. This move it's decent. So it has a lot of active frames, which could be sort of annoying, but once you know how to play against it, it doesn't really do that much. You can edge guard it, or you can edge guard with it, which is a nice aspect of it, so you can constantly just like keep people off. But he throws himself into like assuming that you like dodge it, right? He's kind of like locked in that animation and he can't really do anything until it's over. So you can potentially hit him during that. A lot of people also spam this move, so it becomes really predictable. So in the hands of the right person, I think this move can float around like really good or decent. But for most people, I think it's decent. Alright, for Pak 2's time stop, it's hard to say. I think this move also goes into decent. It's a nice engage tool, as well as defensive one. It's good for both. If you hit someone with it, you get a bunch of free attacks, pretty much. You can get your ult, you can stun lock them with your M1. It sucks for them getting hit by it, although it resets the enemy's energy, which is sort of unfortunate, but like, it makes sense. Overall, I think you get a decent amount of value out of it from using it. Next up is Pak 2's ultimate. Well, the ultimate itself doesn't really. I'll throw it into the other because it doesn't really do anything by itself other than augment his 2 abilities. That's what these green dots are, by the way. It's like the augmented version of these abilities. So I'll use these instead. So the augmented basic attack is really good. So you can stun lock people with it. Well, not stun lock. So you can control the knockback of this basic attack, and you can throw people downwards. Not only can you do that, you can do it multiple times. Each time they take a ton of damage from the barrage of punches. It's just a disgusting move, honestly. Like, honestly, well, back when I first played this game, I didn't know that he had a second, like his other ability got augmented, as well as the first one. So like, just that move by itself is like enough to kill people. Like, it's really strong. Like, the fact that you can use it on people multiple times in one ult is like disgusting. And now for his other augmented ability, special, I think this goes into really good or best of the best. We'll throw this in the best of the best. So it's a ton of projectiles, right? Each projectile knocks you back. You can also control the knockback of it if you're above the person, and you can spike him downwards. This move is honestly like just really strong. The only like limitation of it is like its energy, which is why I was contemplating putting it in really good, which I think I'll do, because the energy limitation of it sort of sucks. No, we'll leave it in the best of the best. I think it's a really strong move. Next up, we have Poppy's basic attack. First impressions, this goes into pretty bad, but for solely because of the movement speed, it goes into decent. The movement speed and getting around and everything's really nice. You can also sort of like juke people out with the movement speed. So like I was facing this Pop 2 player and he kept trying to use special on me, and I kept just juking him out with with the movement speed. You can also dash during it, which is really nice. I don't know, it like the movement speed off the move just fits Poppy really well. Next up we have the special, which doesn't really do anything by itself, so I mean you can't really see much about it. Next up is the barrels in the goo. Barrels in the goo, I think it's a really good move, honestly. So pauses stamina whenever they're in it. If you have multiple pools stacked on top of each other, it does a ton of damage, assuming that they step in it. Even if they're smart enough not to step in it, you get to zone them pretty much, so you can start using it as like an edge guard tool. It's a really solid move. It's just really nice. It also doesn't cost any energy to cast, which is also insane. You can use it very aggressively. You can also use it very defensively. It's a very flexible move. Next up is Poppy's Kick. So this move is...
Here's something I found on According to nextdavids.com, all puppies come with a puppy manual and a puppy kit to help you get started with your new puppy.
Thanks. Anyways, starting with Poppy's Kick. Poppy, her kick is, it's pretty bad. So the issue with the kick is not like the knockback it does or anything like that. So if you can actually hit the kick, it's really good. Like you knock them away, it comes out pretty fast. Like people have a hard time like trying to cancel the knockback on it because like it's like instant. So a lot of people don't really expect it. The issue with this move is actually hitting it. The hitbox is right in front of Poppy, and it's so tiny and it's so impossible to hit. Like against a good player, like you will literally never ever hit this move unless you get really creative. So for that reason, I think it goes into pretty bad. Next up we have Reina's basic attack. Reina's basic attack is pretty good, I think. Well, or decent. What do we think? Really good or decent? I actually need a moment to think about this. Okay. I think it's a really good move. The reason why I think it's really good is like the amount of knockback and damage it does is like really good. Like assuming you can hit this move, right? Like it gets really hard to actually get close without side dashing, so you end up baiting a ton of energy from your opponent before they even get near you. And if they don't dodge it, you're knocking them away, they're taking damage. You can even control the knockback of it. It's just a really solid move. The only downside is that you have to charge it up, but I mean the charge up's relatively quick. Next up is her rapid fire special. It's pretty meh. Like assuming you can actually hit it. I mean it does damage. It's not anything too crazy. I mean, you can get your ult with it. Besides it doing damage, like, it's just meh. Alright, this might be another controversial one. So we have her unique. I think this goes the best of the best. The amount of mobility this move gives you is disgusting. You can literally zoom across the whole map. You can recover with it. It's so flexible in how you can, like, use it. And it makes catching Reina so hard. Like, this move is actually, like, kind of broken. Like it's disgusting. Next up we have her ultimate, which I think also goes into best of the best. So her ultimate is extremely similar to Military Man's, only it's with fully charged arrows. Assuming you can actually hit the ult, like you stun lock them and there's not much they can really do once they get hit by it. Like they just start getting hit with arrow and arrow and arrow and they're just locked. You can also get a bit of your ultimate charge back if you hit all of it, which is really nice. So it's a really solid kill move. Next up is Ryan's basic attack. Ryan's basic attack it's decent. So it's really fast. It does a ton of damage and it gives a ton of ult charge per hit. So for a move that doesn't really do any knockback or anything, I think it's pretty good. Like it makes up for its other weaknesses and like its stats like damage and the amount of ult charge it gives you and attack speed. Next up is Ryan's range attack. His range attack I'd say it's really good. So it's pretty flexible. I mean, you can control the knockback of it. Does quite a bit of knockback, not anything too insane, but like it does its job. You can also throw 2 of them, which could be annoying because you can still lock them for like a quick second. You can edge guard. It's just like an overall simple, solid move that is like pretty flexible. Next up is his dash. His dash by itself doesn't really do much. It's sort of hard to hit. Sometimes you can hit it, so you can charge it up, dash, hit him. It does a lot of damage if you can hit it, but besides those like niche situations, it doesn't really do much like on its own. Next up is Ryan's ultimate. I think this move goes to the best of the best. So the range on it is infinite. You knock the opponent back a lot and you heal yourself. So you can use the recover, knock the opponent out. You can knock him off with your range attack, right? And then you can use that as like a kill confirm. There's so many uses to this ability, but even like not counting like the kill confirms and like thinking about other moves, like just solely by itself, like it does quite a bit of damage, heals you, like it's just solid overall, and it has a lot of uses too. It's just really good. 10 out of 10. Synth's basic attack is really good. So, does it go in the best of the best? It might. I don't know. I think it's really good. So, I can't oh, this is such a hard one. I can't decide if it goes in the best of the best or not. We'll leave it in really good for now. So, this move does a ton of damage, gives you a lot of ult charge, does a ton of knockback. You also lunge each time you use it, which is really nice. You can also combine it with your block, so you can block stack it, which makes it super safe to use. You can also sort of like knock people like back and forth with it, which is also a really nice like aspect of it. It really allows you to control like where your opponent is like going. Like you can literally force them off constantly all the time and constantly force them in the edge guard situations where they have to like get past you. And if you get really good at hitting them back and not letting them get past you, like they die and there's just not much they can do about it. So it's a really good move. If not, that's the best. It goes somewhere in between here. Next up is Synth's lasso. Her lasso is it's a cute move. I'll throw in a decent. So by itself, it just allows you to control where the opponent is pretty much. Like assuming you can hit it, like you can decide where you want them to be at any given time, which is I think is very underrated. Besides that, it doesn't really do anything. I mean, you could potentially kill someone with it if you go underneath the stage and pull them down, but even then, that's like pretty hard to hit. So not counting that and just like the aspect of like being able to control where they are on the field at any given point, I think it's a pretty decent move, if not really good. Next up we have Synth's time stop. Well, not time stop, time slow. It's okay, it's meh. The reason why I say it's meh is because it's not because of the effect. So you slow the opponent, right? And then you also pause their stamina. Really strong effect, right? My issue with that is that it only lasts for 1 second, which is so like, it's so bad. Like 1 second is like practically nothing. I wish it lasted for like 2 seconds. I feel like that'd be like a pretty good like middle ground, maybe 3. Although 3 might be a bit broken, I don't know. But it lasting 1 second is like, it's not like awful, but it's sort of unfortunate. It'll help you edge guard sometimes, and like that's really about it. Now for Synth's ultimate, this move isn't that good, honestly. I'll throw it in the pretty bad. The reason why I throw it in the pretty bad is that you have to hit it at the edge of the move to actually like do any meaningful knockback. And even when you do that, I feel like it doesn't really knock you back that far. Like you could just kind of like cancel the knockback of it. If you're too close to Synth, she'll just knock you directly up into the air, which can kill you, but it's harder to do that. Just for the fact that you have to hit it at the edge, makes it pretty bad. And then even when you do hit it at the edge, like I feel like you don't really get rewarded for it that much. We're finally getting close to the end, the final 3 characters. Next up we have Seth's basic attack, which I think is really good. So you kind of like run people down with it. It does so much damage if you can actually land it and like keep it on them. It's also a really good defensive move because you can start like chainsawing and then you can shield, so you just become this like death ball, although you can't move during it, which is fine. Overall, it's just really solid. Like you do a ton of damage. It's a really good defensive move if you combine it with your shield. Yeah, that's all that I really have to say about it. Seth's spin is also is extremely similar to his basic attack, only this version does knockback. So they were like, you know what, let's take some damage out of his basic attack and put knockback instead. So that's literally what his spin is. So it's same deal, where you can play defensive with it, you can shield during it, which is really nice. you can just tap it for a second to knock people back. You can also cancel the knockback on it, which is cancel the knockback, and then control the knockback on it, which is really nice, and spike people down. It's also very energy efficient. I think it literally costs 1 energy and like ticks down rapidly, which is really nice. Like even if you're at low energy, you can push people away from you, which is really helpful. Next up we have Seth's unique. This move is pretty meh. Like there's like a few like cheese situations where you can like kill people when they're at full health, which is like really dumb. It's honestly kind of like a meme move. It's really fun to use, but practically you're not going to be wanting to use this move very often. Like by itself, it's very meh. Actually, should I throw it in the pretty bad? I think I should throw it in the pretty bad. It has like it's very like niche situations, but I think it's just bad most of the time. Next up, we have Seth's ultimate. Seth's ultimate. I think it falls somewhere between like really good and decent. So my issue with Seth ult is that like it does a ton of damage, right? A ton of knockback. It's really nice. But the issue that I have with it is like the same issue as Hamza ult, where like you can't like people just run away from you. Now I think a redeeming quality of it is that you can activate it and then swing instantly, which like kind of throws them off, and you can get a free hit, and then afterwards you can edge guard. Unlike Hamza, where he has to activate it, then charge up his M1, and then try to hit you. Seth's ultimate is like way more unpredictable in that sense. So I think that's a redeeming quality of it. And the unfortunate thing about it is that you can get hit during it, which will knock you back. So like any ranged characters can kind of like zone you out, which is unfortunate. Besides that, I think it's a really solid ultimate. Next up, we have Walter's basic attack. This move it's decent. I feel like its one redeeming factor is that it gives you a lot of ult charge per hit. Besides that, it's so slow. Like it does an okay amount of damage. It's so slow. That's what I hate about it. Besides that, I think it's a decent move. Next up, we have Walter's charge attack. I think this move is actually pretty good. So you charge it up initially, so you need to like wait a little bit. You need to wait for your energy to like regen, but after that you can still like move and do everything how you would normally would. You can have situations where you charge it up and then you get near the person. They'll usually be expecting you to like use it, so they'll start side dashing, but you can just follow them and wait until they stop when they run out of energy, and then you can hit them with it. And when a fully charged attack does 50 damage, which is insane. That's a lot of damage for hitting one move. It also gives you a good chunk of ultimate charge. You can actually, if you hit multiple people with it, you can get the ult charge per person, which is also disgusting. Like you literally have situations where you use the move once and you already have your ult. So I think it's a really solid move. Next up is his Walter's umbrella. Is also a really good move. Just actually, does it go in the decent? I'll leave it in really good. So it has ups and downs, but overall the recovery that you can do with it is just disgusting. Like you just keep coming back over and over and over again, and you just need a minimum of 5 energy to do it, which is disgusting. Like you can make it relatively close to the stage with just 5 energy. Like that literally should be illegal. A downside to it is that, you know, obviously you're in the air, you're kind of like stuck in this linear like animation. Although you can kind of like weave left and right, you can sprint while you're in the air and like make yourself go faster. So you can kind of make yourself a little bit harder to hit. But besides that, you're kind of stuck in that animation, and you're very edge guardable. But besides that, like this move is pretty nice. I think it's really good. Next up is Walter's ultimate. It's decent. You activate it. It's a tornado. It knocks people back. It activates pretty quickly, so it kind of catches people off guard, so it takes them a second to like process and even like happen. Now we can hit multiple people with it. I mean, it does its job. It's not anything like too insane. Next up, we have Zhao's basic attack. Zhao's basic attack is really good. It's pretty fast. You can knock people back with it. I would actually argue that it's probably best of the best. I think it's one of the best basic attacks in the game. Like it's really fast. Like it gives you a good amount of your ult. Hitting it. He dashes forward. The knockback it does is disgusting. You can hit people like behind you. Like this move is just like insane in every way possible. Like the hitbox on it is like insane. Like I don't even know like how it's legal. Next up, well, we can guess where all of his abilities are going. Next up is Zell's special, also going the best. So he just, it's a disgusting move. Like you force people to approach you. By the time they approach you, they're already at like 100 damage, maybe like 150. It depends on how fast they get to you, right? But they've already taken a lot of damage. If you hit them a few times, you also already have your ultimate, which is nice. Basically, you start the match with your ultimate and like 100 damage, roughly, like already done to your opponent. Like that's just filthy. And even after that, like you can zone with it at any point in time you want. Like anytime your opponent is near you, just zap them. You punish them for not being directly next to you, which then they're in range of your whatever your basic attack may be. Next up, we have Zhao's unique, his hook. This move is also one of the best moves in the game. You can use it to recover. You can also use it like Gunzo's thing, where he like pulls himself towards you. Zhao can also do that because he locks you in place if he hits you with it directly, and he'll pull himself towards you. You can use it to recover. He can't be knocked back or anything while he's dashing. Like this move just like can't be stopped. And lastly, we have Zhao's ultimate, which actually, I'm not sure if it goes the best of the best or really good. It depends on who's using it. For like the average player, I think it's really good. For like if you're like really good at encounters, I think it's best of the best. So I'll leave it up there. The move is really good. I mean, you can really control like where your opponent goes and if they get spiked down or not. The only like sad thing about it is that you can't really attack in any other way apart from your like until like your ultimate like goes off fully. But if you're an experienced Zhao player and you're like used to being able to hit these ults, like GG. Like there's no way that your opponent's like getting away from you because you're gonna be ready to chase them, and if they try knocking you back, they're like your opponent's gonna be like, oh, like I already know I can't run away from this Zhao. Like he's gonna chase me down. Like I already know. So I'll hit him with like an attack that like knocks him back, and then the Zhao's gonna be like, interesting, and then they just block, and you're like, oh, okay, well, GG. Like there's not much counterplay that you can do to for Zhao's ultimate, assuming that like the Zhao player is really good. And yeah, that's my tier list done. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. I want to do one more thing. Oh, oops! I didn't mean to do that. Wait, take me back. I want to add a row above. This is gonna be my custom character. I'm gonna mix and match the abilities. So for a basic attack, we'll take. Well, actually, before I do that, here's like the final look. So you can take final look at the tier list and judge me for it. Tell me how I'm wrong in the comments. But we'll take for my custom character, we'll take Mai's basic attack. For special, I'll take Alina's special. Ooh, for a unique Kuzanagi parry, and then for ult, I'll take Ryan's. This is my character, my custom character. But yeah, which abilities would you guys mix and match? I feel like there's a lot of fun combinations that you can do with these. Also, a character with these abilities would be actually broken. Like that would not be okay. Like that's actually disgusting. But yeah, that's the whole tier list. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.